Good morning everyone. I trust you find my vlogs informative and always feel free to email me with any questions that you may have. Today we will talk on how to get you ready to buy a property in Queenstown if you are an overseas resident. Generally speaking, this process is straightforward. You need a New Zealand bank account and also an IRD number for tax purposes. There are also restrictions on types of properties that you can buy in New Zealand as an overseas resident. There's a number of information available online, but before you make an offer, I recommend full legal advice on a situation that refers specifically to you. To help you better understand what is involved in this process, I asked Graeme Todd of Todd and Walker Law to join us today. Good morning, Graeme.
Good morning, Beata.
Buying a home in another country, where property law is different to where the buyer's from, can be challenging. What would your advice be to overseas buyers who are considering buying in Queenstown?
Well, luckily, Beata, buying and selling property in New Zealand is a relatively straightforward process, although there are a few tricks to always be aware of. You mentioned in your introduction that overseas people need to make sure they have a New Zealand bank account and a New Zealand IRD number, and that's right. Since 2015, the government changed the Land Transfer Act provisions, and everybody now is required to have a New Zealand IRD number, Inland Revenue Department number, before they purchase property. And to obtain one, you need to have a New Zealand bank account. And it's a bit of a trap for overseas people, because generally to open a New Zealand bank account you need to be in New Zealand, because these days the bank is going to want to be satisfied in respect of the anti-money laundering provisions, the international provisions that we all now live with. And so they're going to want to see you and identify you with your passport and proof of residence and things like that.
But that's very important for people to know, so they can prepare themselves before making the
Absolutely, because the very first thing they should be doing, even if they're contemplating purchasing a property, is to have a New Zealand bank account open. And because once you have that open, it takes about 10 days to get a New Zealand IRD number, so that's not too difficult.
Would you recommend the purchasers get in touch with you first, or is it something they can check online?
Well, they can check online, but once they have the New Zealand bank account, that's the key to it, is to get that New Zealand bank account open. And the rules and regulations of the various banks are changing all the time. It used to be easy to open a bank account in Australia if it was the sister bank to the New Zealand bank, or even indeed in Southeast Asia, where we've had clients who've been able to register through, for example, the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank in Singapore, because they operate in New Zealand as well. So it's just important to check with your bank at the earliest possible time whether it's possible to do it in your home country. Otherwise, you're going to have to be in New Zealand to do it.
Understand. Thank you very much. That's very informative. Thanks.
You.